Episode 31. Lots of exciting stuff to cover off this week, boys, and we're only into round 2 of the season. So welcome back, boys. George, Artie, how are you?
Hey, welcome everybody.
Artie,
Looking
how's
forward
things?
to it's been a great week.
Fantastic. How good's the footy? How good's
Dragons
the rugby
won.
league?
Yeah,
Dragons won.
The Dragons won, mate. Yes.
The Dragons won. The Bulldogs
Fantastic.
won.
Bulldogs won.
won. It's
But-
strange.
The Bulldogs bounced back with a really impressive performance down in Melbourne. Why don't we kick it off with that, George?
Strange. Well, no, could I do some housekeeping?
Yeah.
You know what? It is the pod that tells it like it is, Nicola.
Yeah.
But when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I'll call out myself, okay? I want to apologise to some people and some teams. I want to apologise to the Penrith Panthers. Last week, I said the magic is gone. Guess what? I know now. The magic's gone when you guys say it's gone. And guess what? It's not gone yet. And I also want to apologise to a team and to a person, to a coach. My deep, severe apology, Hook. You had us all fooled.
It's only 1 week, mate.
I was calling for his head.
Yeah,
I was calling for his head, okay? But he had us all fooled. They came out and they gave a performance of a lifetime, okay? And all the key players fired up. So I'm sorry, Hook, and I'm sorry, St. George Illawarra. So, again, I'll still call it as it is, but right this moment, the game tends to have this ability of putting egg on your face. And I've got a lot of egg on my face this week, Nicola.
I think we're going to have to make that a new segment called Apologies, because George is apologising every week for something that he said the week before.
I'll call it as it is, Nicola. I'll call it as it is.
Now you want to talk about the Dogs.
You know what?
Tell us what you saw.
It's strange. It's strange seeing my team win in that fashion. They were exciting. They were electric. They attacked from the word go. Sure, a weakened Bulldog, a weakened Melbourne Storm team.
You can only play who's in front of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And look, they were very physical, and I was watching in disbelief. They were physical. They went straight through the middle. And their attack and Carraz, how good is Carraz?
Yes.
And,
Mate, on fire.
And what I like, and sorry, Flano, but we haven't got a genuine high quality halfback. When you're on a roll, the idea is to keep the roll going as long as you can, and usually your number 7 does that. Okay, and when you're on the back foot, the idea is to try to take momentum off the other team. In the second half, when Melbourne started coming back, I thought, oh, gee, here we go. But, you know, they weathered the storm. They stopped their roll. And at the end, they came back, and it was in junk time, but they came back with some gusto. So, look, what can I say? I'm in disbelief.
Yeah. And I think when I look at Carraz, he's Bulldogs DNA, that kid.
He
is.
He's a club.
Definitely.
He's a lifelong player. That kid. That's what I see in his future.
He is. He loves it. He's actually a Newcastle junior, I think.
Is he?
He's not a Bulldogs junior, but I mean, he might as well be.
He's got that. He's got that.
No, I think he was a Bulldogs, but then he went to Newcastle and then he came back. Yeah,
okay.
That's what I think. I
know that he's a genuine fullback, and I think he wants to play fullback, but he might have to bide his time. But look, Saturday night again, we went to Melbourne. And I wasn't expecting much, but what I saw, I've seen the game 3 times. I'm still in disbelief. I rewinded back to see what we did, and I hope it continues on, because that was very, very, very good. There was a lot of Mr. Popular's DNA coming through.
So we call Elias the future Greek immortal. Can we call Carraz the future Lebanese immortal?
Well, yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, how he's going.
Ilias might be struggling after last week's performance. We'll cover that when we go through the games.
How petrified would you have been with that Melbourne Storm team after losing that game? Going into the sheds, knowing that Bellamy is just going to absolutely rip you to shreds.
Coming off at half time.
I reckon they would have just stayed there. They would have waited till he went home. It's just.
Can you imagine training this week?
Oh God.
Well, I tell you what, I'd rather be training down at Melbourne than training at Leichhardt Oval.
Oh,
we have to talk about the Tigers, right? Second loss in a row, Sunday afternoon, Leichhardt Oval. 2 games that you would have marked in the calendar as potential wins against 2 bottom 4 teams from last year. George put it perfectly earlier tonight. It's the best, worst game you've seen.
Best worst game I've seen. Both teams were.
What's going on there? You got Tim Sheens, Benji Marshall, Robbie Farah, David Ferner.
You know
all
what?
these coaches.
You know what? Last year you said something, Nicola. You said that Tim Sheen might as well told his team, well, let's go for the wooden spoon, when he lent out all those players.
Yeah.
Or how many of them were there? One or two?
Well, they couldn't make the 8, but they sure as hell could have avoided the spoon.
Yeah. You know what? I sat last Sunday. I sat next to again. I'm going to bring this up. An 83-year-old man with so much hope, and I've walked away, him disappointed again. And you know what, Tim? I don't know what you're doing there, and it's directly on your lap now, because I mean you had this master plan of bringing yourself in, because you said you wanted to coach. Because I don't know, do you know the story about how?
Yeah, Buzz Rothfield.
Buzz Rothfield said, "Why don't you coach?" And who got rid of Madge? He got rid of Madge.
Yeah.
Okay, so clearly he wanted to coach. And you know what? You went to England, and every club you went to, you just missed relegation. So you haven't had a great time. You've come back to Sydney, took over the Tigers, and if you think that free-flowing 2005 style is going to get anything this day and age? No way in the world. Defence is king these days, and you win on the back of defence. Penrith win on the back of defence. The attack is just naturally good.
Do you guys think the fact that he's 72 years old means that he's not in touch with the modern day game? Is that a fair comment?
I don't know. Look,
No.
There was all this talk about working on their attack in the off season, and we're throwing more passes than we ever thrown, and all that, and they just look disjointed and horrible. And the thing is, sorry, Adi, 1 sec. The thing is, they played against Newcastle, who didn't play great, right, to win. They lost Kalen Ponga in the first minute. They lost Brady, their hooker, in the 15th minute. They lost Tyson Frizzell. Their bench was down to one person. They had a sin bin. They had a send-off with 15 minutes to go. What more do you need to put this team away?
Mate, the way I saw it is the Tigers had Hastings, Dewey and Brooks. They got rid of the wrong one out of those three, because if Hastings was in the Tigers and one of those guys was in Newcastle, then the Tigers would have won. The reason being is because what you mentioned, Hastings would have known what to do to win in that situation. Yeah. Those two guys, they didn't take advantage of all those injuries and everything. They didn't go through the middle. They didn't do anything. They were going around. I just didn't understand it. And Hastings would have picked it like his nose. He would have known straight away what to do.
One of our favourite commentators, Paul Kent, said it on 360. He said it's football 101.
Exactly.
They got no forwards on the bench.
Exactly.
Run through the middle, tire him out. Like, there was just... George, you said it. Appy Coruscant picked up the ball. He was looking around. There was no one there to give it to.
Poor Appy.
It's so disjointed.
I feel for Appy so much. He had, Cleary on one side and Yeo on the other side, and now he's got a bunch of misfits. There's no structure. I saw no structure. I saw no plan. I just saw throw it to someone and do your best. You know what? Tim Sheens this year has got the inept ability of making a good player very ordinary, because all those players who are there who come from Parramatta, Penrith, that look pretty ordinary.
No, George, come on, seriously, mate.
No, I don't believe.
It's
I
up
don't
to the
believe
halfback to see when the team is struggling. It's up to the halfback and the 5'8" to guide the team around. They should have seen that they were leaking in the middle. They had all those injuries.
Well, there's no doubt.
They don't have to wait for Sheens to say go through the middle.
They had no leadership on the field.
It's just terrible. It was just.
I think what's worse is that in the post-match press conference, Tim Sheens blamed everything except the players and himself. He said we had refereeing decisions go against us. Mind you, they scored a try that's been a double movement since 1908. He said he was angry, which is fair enough, about the two shots, the high shots, that he lost two players because of it. But hey, that happens every week, right? That happens in every game.
Didn't Newcastle lose two of their guys?
Exactly. At no point did he take accountability for his own team's performance. And everyone saw what happened with Hastings after the game. So Hastings put a high shot on Talau, broke his nose. Interviewed after the game, he said, look, I was trying to stop a try. There was no malice in it. We're friends, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go and apologise to him now after this. walks over to Tommy Talau, who pushes him. David Clemmer comes in. Apparently, David Clemmer ran for 81 metres in the game, and he ran further in this incident to get it. Security had to separate them. So, what do you guys make of Jackson Hastings? Is he misunderstood? Because this is how many clubs has he been pushed out of?
Let's run it through. Adi, give it to us. How many clubs did he run through?
He started at St George
Yeah.
as a junior. From there, he got picked up by the Roosters. From the Roosters, he then went to Manly, I believe. From Manly, he then went to England.
Salford, Leeds.
Absolutely killed it in England.
Man of Steel.
It was great.
But they got rid of him. So every club he's been to, it's been a 1 year stop.
Roosters, Manly.
1 year.
Roosters, Manly.
1 year. He went to Salford. 1 year. Got the Man of Steel. Got moved on. He left. He got moved on to Leeds. Okay. Leeds, after 1 year, moved him on. Sheen's brought him here. 1 year Tigers, moved on. What's wrong with him?
So the big question is, who's he playing for next season?
Well, doesn't that explain to you the Tigers' culture, though? There's the guy, Hastings, right?
Now we're talking.
Hastings is a guy that wants to win, will bleed to win, right? And you need those type of hard nut guys in there. They got rid of him and they kept... Look, Brooks and Dewey are probably more skillful than this guy and got more flair. But they haven't got the smarts. Hastings is a game manager. He can get you into good positions.
Tim Sheens was quoted on Fox Sports. You can read the article. He wanted to clear the air because Hastings was asked in his post-match interview what happened, and he didn't want to go into it. It was actually pretty classy in how he responded. He said, Tim knows what happened. I know what happened. We don't need to talk about it anymore. I think Tim Sheens felt the need to come out and defend that remark. So he came out and stated that I told Jackson he was playing lock.
Yep.
He wanted to play in the halves. Newcastle offered him an opportunity. He took it. End of story. Yeah, Tim Sheens' words.
That's not what happened.
No.
But
Jackson rubbished that. He said no, that wasn't the case.
I think Artie's hit the nail on the head. I don't want to say anything. I think the leadership starts from the top. Politis, Gould, Bellamy. What's his main man there? Frank Panizzi.
Yeah.
The board is answering more questions than Tim Sheen. They're coming out every Monday and answering more questions than Tim Sheen. You know what? Everything's changed. Players have changed.
Except?
Yeah. Players change. Coaches have changed except the hierarchy office. The
Justin
CEO,
Pascoe,
yep.
Lee Hadjimentalis.
Yeah, I think that's where the problem lies. I think
you
got to gut that before you get... Because we all know that success starts from upstairs.
The office.
Yeah.
Success starts on Monday morning.
Yeah. So I think it's a long way back, and I think if they don't clear that up, think about it. If this keeps on going, what's Sheen's going to give to Benji?
Well, I'll tell you what. The next 3 weeks doesn't get any easier. The next month, they're away to the Bulldogs at Belmore this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
They're away to Melbourne the week after. They're away to Brisbane in Brisbane the week after. And then they've got Parramatta at Homebush on Easter Monday.
Jeez.
So the next month will really be telling for this side.
You know what? Even if they don't win one game, if they show an improved performance, you know what I like?
Yeah.
I like when a player gives his all. He doesn't have to be skilled. Look at Twile or look at Ray Stone. When a player gives his heart, as Artie's heard before, I'm there. I'm all there.
I'm with you.
Okay?
As
I'm
an
all
Eels
there.
fan, we're none from two, but I can't complain. We've been unlucky that they've been there. But I've spoken to a few of my friends who are Tigers fans. They're really upset at the moment.
They're not giving their heart.
No.
And again, when I sit next to an 83-year-old man and he tells me they don't try, what do I say? They don't try. It looks like they're trying, but it looks like they don't try, Nick.
So Tim's going to have his work cut out for him over the next month. We can't point the finger at Benji yet. It's all Sheens right now.
It's all Sheens.
Yeah. You know what the ironic thing about that was? The Knights initially wanted Brooks. They wouldn't let him go. They ended up getting Hastings. After Sunday, the Knights are going, phew, we made the right call, man. They go, how lucky are we? We got the right one out of this.
Yeah. Good point, Artie.
Yeah. It amazes me, the Brooks thing. What amazes me is that how much more evidence do you need to show you that he's not a first-grade rugby league player?
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, mate. I think
Well,
he.
I would. Okay.
What
I think he
amazes
needs,
me-
he needs
Easy
a different.
question.
He needs to go to
No,
another
no,
team.
no,
What
no,
amazes me is that
no.
they're actually talking about extending him.
No. Easy question. You tell me what team will say, yeah, come.
Throw him in Melbourne. Throw him in the Roosters. I reckon. Throw him in those systems. I reckon he'll be okay.
I definitely agree he needs a change of
He needs
environment.
a change of
and
environment.
I don't know how good he can be.
Mm,
I think he can. I just think he doesn't have the direction. He hasn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what I think.
Yeah, okay. Melbourne's not fair because he'll have one job just one job to do.
yeah.
Mm.
Just one
And
job.
he'll do it
down.
well.
That comes down to the environment, right?
Yeah,
The
well, that's what
players
they
around
do.
him.
That's
Yeah.
what they do.
Yeah.
They give you one job in Melbourne.
Yeah.
You're doing that. That's it. You don't think you're Monster thinks you're kicking. That's it. Or you're running one straight line. That's the line all day. You're running that line. That's it. Okay, that's not fair, Melbourne. Melbourne's not fair.
I love him at the Cowboys.
So you're saying he's better than the Chad?
No, I
Mind you,
think.
the Chad
the
had a bad
Chad-
game.
I
Yeah,
think,
but-
no. I wouldn't. I'd like to see him in that system in the Cowboys. I like Peyton.
Yeah, okay.
Well, he's
Payton's
Peyton
a
to
good
put his
coach.
hands on.
No,
it.
Payton's a good coach.
He's
Yeah.
got bigger problems at the moment. He might as well go and stand in the middle of the M4 because he's going to have kick out running at him this Sunday.
Yes.
Right,
We'll see how that goes.
So speaking, another thing that's come out of this game, which is not something to joke about, is Kalen Ponga.
Yes.
Yet another concussion. This kid is it his tackling style? Is it what is it? Because he just keeps getting hit in the head, and he's too young to be having.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's way premature, but there's already been talk about medical retirement. It's just way
let's,
too
let's,
early.
Let's not go there
Way too
yet.
early.
He's had a bad run, let's say. You know what? There's a lot of chat and a lot of talk. He's not a 5'8", apparently. He should be in the. He should be a fullback so we can protect him.
But all of his head knocks came at fullback.
And that's what I was going to say, Nicola. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So, you know what? Let's get him right. He had a head knock. Okay. You know what? Some guys get knocked out easier
Yes.
than others. You're a boxing man. You've heard about the glass jaw. Some guys can get smashed.
When you get when you learn how to box, you get taught to hit the chin. And if you watch, I don't know, go back to the old heavyweights or watch anything. Every time someone gets knocked out, it's usually in the temple or the chin. But 9 times out of 10, it's the chin because there's a nerve that runs from your chin right up to your brain.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
That's why a boxer's always taught to tuck their chin in and protect it because that's the bullseye right there.
Okay.
So my point to that is, you know what? Everybody's different, and maybe Kalen is prone to get knocked out. I don't know. I think the jury's still out. He's going to have 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 weeks getting back on the field,
Big
and
blow,
hopefully.
big blow for the Knights.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they
The
got
captain.
they got that other psycho at 5'8" now. What's his name? Your favourite player?
But they got
Gamble,
the two biggest
Tyson
sledges.
Gamble.
I would hate
he
to
was-
be opposed to Tyson Gamble and Hastings.
Oh.
They would be just throwing
He
everything
put-
they are.
he
Forget
put
it.
the mind games on the
Sledge.
Tigers
Oh, yeah.
so hard that
Oh.
day. He had them all chasing after him. They were all off their game. He was just
Mate.
revving them all up.
I reckon his mother would be chasing him around.
was
That-
revving them
he
all up.
wouldn't, He wouldn't take no prisoners, that guy.
Oh, man.
He'd be doing things. Oh,
But,
he's just
yeah. Look,
crazy.
you know,
Well, getting back on the field, this is Kalen, getting back on the field, and you know that I've been critical, but I'm not critical. I mean, it's the kid's health. So, you know, I want him to do well.
yeah.
but look,
I
even
want
though,
him to
even
do
though it wasn't a great spectacle, it was a super gutsy effort from Newcastle.
Oh, that was
Right.
one of their
fantastic.
best.
Phenomenal.
And George stated it last week how important it was for them this particular
Very
game,
important.
and they came through.
Yeah, thank God. Very.
They came through.
Because
So
I thought that would have been. I mean, now Paul Tigers have got the mental scars, but then Newcastle would have the mental scars, and it's a long way back.
Yeah.
It's a long way back. So hopefully they get back on track. I hope anyway.
They never should have won that game. Look at
No.
everything
They
that
had
happened.
no
the
right.
stats,
They had
everything
no
went
right.
against them.
No,
if they had only lost, they lost Ponga in the first minute.
Yeah.
If that was the only incident that happened, they would have had an excuse to lose that game.
Yeah.
But with everything else,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
and you got to be
it's
call the-
mind-boggling.
You got to call it as you see it too. They didn't play the best though. Like Newcastle didn't play to this.
No, they
No,
didn't. No,
but they just held in
no.
there. They just
They-
held on
they-
and they defended
it
and
was
they just did
terrible.
what they had to do
Yeah,
to win it, and,
it was-
and it
it was-
worked.
The game was terrible.
It was definitely
was
the bludger of the
terrible,
round.
Yeah,
But he had you on the injury you see.
Yeah.
yeah,
But it
Which
was
proves
terrible.
it doesn't have to be a great quality
No.
game to be exciting.
exactly. yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, moving along,
Mhm.
James Tedesco, after all this talk, he's extended with the Roosters till the end of 25.
Beautiful.
I think he'll be 32, is that right?
33? 33, yeah.
When that ends. So who knows what will
Good
happen
beauty.
after that, but I'm happy about that. He's the club captain. I didn't want to see him leave.
I'm glad he's staying, mate.
Yeah.
It's really good news for the club. At 33, will he retire after that? I can't see it though.
I don't think so. I can see him
maybe
going
a
back to the
return.
Tigers on
Yeah,
a
a lot of
2-year
people
deal.
are
Yeah.
hoping for that fairy tale to come through, but opens the door, gives Swahili a few more years to think
Yeah.
about it because I don't know, man. There's going to be some temptations from rugby union for that
Yeah,
guy. So, but
And in more signing news for the Roosters, Parramatta granted Nathan Brown a EE, early release,
that's right.
and
yeah.
now he's joined the Roosters.
That's pretty good news.
Let's
isn't
just EE everyone while we're at it. But yeah, good pickup for the Roosters, George.
Fantastic.
Who that boy?
it?
Nathan
Nathan
Brown.
Brown.
Yeah.
From the-
How?
What do you mean?
Well,
That
Parramatta
they
chipping
had,
in most
They
of it.
had salary cap.
No,
they-
Parramatta paying most of it.
well,
Parramatta.
he was
I
on
don't know.
600. They chipped in 3 apparently.
I thought they chipped in more.
it
Well,
still doesn't
okay.
make sense to me why clubs pay players to go somewhere
Yeah.
Anyway,
else. But
okay.
You've got
Okay.
200,000 extra spare to spend on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, a good buy. Something that they need. He's gonna flourish at
I
the
think he will.
Roosters. He's a
He'll be
good
fantastic.
player.
And they need
Yeah.
middles.
They need
They need
middles,
middles.
and he's a very good player. And he'll go back to his old self again. And obviously not wanted at
Yeah.
not wanted at Parramatta
Mm.
because of the issues of last year. But I'll say it again, and I know you're a fan, Artie. How?
They can. man.
How?
No,
Look, they're
they
just
can do it,
good
mate.
cap
Compensation.
management.
I want their accountant.
Good cap
No,
management.
they're just good cap management.
Yeah.
Probably maybe I'm wrong.
They lost Isaac Liu. They lost the other guy. What's his name?
They signed the cheese though,
Oh, they signed the cheese, but they lost
and they've extended.
Verrills and Friend, and
Yeah,
they
that's
lose
3
players
years
too,
ago.
mate. They
Yeah.
lose players. Don't
Look, for
worry.
this next point, I'm going to turn it over to Artie.
What's this, mate?
The Dragons open their account.
Oh, mate.
Come
how
on,
good was
mate.
that? That was the best opening game I've seen the Dragons play. Round 2, mind
I've
you.
been the only one who tipped them, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I
Right.
know. But Sloaney had a good game. It was a bit. They made a couple of little mistakes here and there, a couple of drop balls. But overall, proud of the boys. They all dug in. And you know what's funny? It's. I feel sad saying this, but we had 5 Tigers players playing for us. We had Musgrove,
Yeah.
Mbai, Little. I can't remember the other two. Burdick Masella and Sully. They all played phenomenal. They were
Yeah, they
really
did.
good.
They did.
Jacob Little, outstanding. What a bit of speed outside from the ruck. We haven't seen that for so many years because we've had bloody McCulloch there.
How good
I,
was it?
I was
Who-
actually happy. I was really happy for Hook. He's just this guy was
not
under pressure
really.
before the season started. That's
No.
a horrible way to start the
Yeah,
season.
no.
You know,
Look,
so I know, but I'm not a Dragons fan, so I have a different view of it.
we've been calling for
um,
Sullivan and Sloan to be there for years, and he just caved in and finally did it.
We
and-
had to. And
What a-
and it was, the proof was in the pudding.
yeah,
The proof was in the pudding.
yeah.
What a coach! Speaking of coaches, I think I've seen something that I've not seen in the history of sport up until this point.
What's that?
Brad Arthur was extended for another 2 years.
Again.
But let me explain a little bit. So after the grand final last season,
Mm.
the following day he was extended for 2 years. So he's the first coach that I've seen to be extended for 2 years, 2 games after being extended for 2 years.
So you got 4 years. Next 4 years.
Well, it's to the end of
2025
2025 apparently.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I'm not sure how that works out,
3,
but
4, 4
and
3 years.
there are performance clauses, including there are performance clauses obviously, but that'll make him Parramatta's longest serving coach if he sees the contract out, if he doesn't get sacked beforehand.
Okay.
Um,
You know what? Right now, how Parramatta stands with well, we're looking to. It's not a rebuild as somewhat, but it's sort of a rebuild. He's the man. He's the perfect.
He's
man.
good for that, yeah.
for that.
yeah.
For
I
that
still
he
don't
is.
think he's the man to bring him home, but
Can I ask you something, mate? Trivia?
Yeah.
The longest serving before him was Brian Smith. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How many years after he got the team to a grand final did he get flicked?
he got him to a GF in 2001. He
Yeah.
got flicked in 2006.
Oh, so he got another 5
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Okay. There you
But
go.
in 2005, they lost the prelim.
Oh, okay.
They actually had the best attack and defense in the competition, and they lost the prelim 29-0.
Oh wow. So he's going to overtake Brian Smith, though. That's the current guy that's got the highest record. And you not John Money or what's the other guy? Gibson.
No, John Maney. Gibson was only there for three
3
years.
yeah.
4 years.
I thought I'd see his name up there, but he's sort of.
Yeah, he just came one of 4 comps. And
Yeah.
left.
John Maney took over in 85, I think it
Wow,
was, and he won the comp in
He won the comp
86.
too.
I think he was there till 89.
Wow.
But yeah, anyway,
There you go.
it is what it is.
But that 80s team, again, special.
There's a lot of faith in him, though. He's done well. Look,
Look,
he
he's
brings
done,
out the best in the
he's
players.
done well.
That's what,
He's
one thing
done.
you
He's
can know.
done well. But I just and I'm not. It's not a knock. But 9 years to get past week 2 of the finals.
Mm.
That for me that doesn't cut it. I mean, if I perform like that in my job, I'd probably be on an improvement plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you think they did it in order to
I'd
keep
probably be
Moses?
sacked.
Do you think?
It's a bit a stupid move if that's what if any club that does that, any club that extends a coach to retain a player, for me, it's got no spine.
Yeah.
If it was
My
Andrew,
opinion.
if it was Andrew Johns, maybe, but
That's different.
Mitchell
Yeah.
Moses.
That's
and
different.
Dylan Brown. Oh.
Dylan Brown's already signed.
Yeah.
Long term as
Sorry,
well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
in terms of Mitch, I mean, he's going to sign. He's going to stay. Mitch wants to stay, and that's his club. But
He was probably thinking about maybe should I go back to the Tigers after this week? No, West Parramatta. let me sign
Maybe
quick.
Tigers might be doing us a favour.
Oh God.
I've got some news for George. One of his favourite topics:
what's that?
Pride Round.
Oh, mate, bring it on. Where's that jersey?
So I have to read this. So the NRL is not going to have a Pride Round this year.
Yeah.
With no plans in place to add to the themed rounds that are already in place from last season.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the multicultural round this week.
Beautiful.
We have Anzac round, Women in League round. Those ones. The Pride round with the Manly jersey proved to be one of the more divisive issues in the game last year, with 7 players choosing to boycott the game against the Roosters, as we all know. And they didn't want to wear that specially designed jersey with the colours on it. And that ultimately derailed Manly's season. They went on to lose their last 7 or 8 games of the
Probably
season.
cost Desi's
Probably cost Desi his job.
Can I just add to that, Nicola, in terms of another sport? The basketball, the NBL decided to have a pride round as well.
Yeah.
To be inclusive. 4 teams didn't turn up that forfeited their games.
People are
that game.
entitled to their opinions.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, everyone's free to have their own opinion. No one should be pushed into doing anything either. And I just wish, I'm looking at the camera for this one.
There you go.
I just wish we would leave politics out of sport. It's like oil and water.
Yeah.
Do not mix the two. Do not mix politics and sport. Leave one there, get on with it.
What annoyed me the most about that was they brought it out on the Women in League round, and it just took off the gloss
Which
of that,
completely overshadowed the Women in League round.
because that's a special round for the women that do such a wonderful job.
So it's not going to happen. I think he was floating the idea of a respect round, which was a way of kind of covering it up. Thankfully, someone's come to their senses and they've decided not to go ahead with it and just keep with the themes that we already have.
Yeah, better.
Why don't they just, if they want to do something like that, just for one round, players can choose if they want to wear an armband or something, you know what I mean? And leave it up to the players to pick and choose. If
The
they
part
want to
that
wear
I
it.
didn't
They don't have to
understand
participate.
why, with the whole Manly thing, because it exploded before the actual game,
Yeah.
right? The part that I didn't understand is why can't players wear the Pride jersey, but whoever doesn't want to just wear the normal one? The jerseys look the same. One had a blue and yellow tinge on it, and the other one didn't. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Somehow it doesn't suit them, Nicola.
Yeah.
Well, while we're on politics in sport, let's talk about the Latrell Mitchell racial abuse, alleged racial abuse. What I read that has been confirmed through the authorities is that it was a 15-year-old. Assumption is it was a Roosters fan because he was wearing a Roosters jersey, who called Latrell Mitchell a black dog. Now,
we tell it how it is here.
don't look at that. Don't
We
shoot
tell
the
it how it is
messenger.
here.
That's what was reported in the media.
Okay.
And now they're saying that the police have already spoken to the 15-year-old and his parents. He's saying that it wasn't racially motivated. Latrell Mitchell had to leave Sydney and go back to his farm to get away from. Really?
Yeah, it's a terrible thing,
This
though.
guy wouldn't have survived 10 minutes in the 80s. Seriously, come on.
Yeah, I know, but it's pretty sensitive,
on.
though. It's stuff like that shouldn't be said. I don't
No,
know.
of course
It
not.
can
No,
offend.
of course not. Of course
Yeah.
not. I'm not defending it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm just saying, Latrell Mitchell,
I'm sure it's been called
the
worse.
week before,
Is
the
that
week
what you're
before he kicked the goal from the sideline, he turned around and gave it to the crowd.
saying? Yeah,
Right? This week against Penrith, I didn't see him giving anything to the crowd.
yeah.
Funny that.
Adi, tell us about it because you're the voice of reason between the three of us.
Well, you know what? In the soccer now, they bend the knee before they do a. They do that before
Yeah.
a kick-off. They go on one knee, and I like how they do that. To respect the racial thing. They should just do that in rugby league as well. I wouldn't mind if they did that before kick-off.
Yeah.
Everyone just bend the knee for.
But my
5
point is,
seconds just to show that there is some.
I'm unequivocally against racism. I hate it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I like you guys probably. I grew up being called a wog.
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
Everyone
yeah.
tends to forget about our generation,
Mm,
right?
mm.
But if a 15-year-old kid calls me a name, I'm not going to have to leave home and move away from the city to get over it. Okay.
Yeah.
Latrell, harden the hell up. All right.
On that, if I can just finish it off, I mean, it's been covered widely all week. Jason Dimitri talked about it. Even Robbo came and spoke about it. Abdo, they all spoke about it. So it's been covered widely. So I want to bring it back to rugby league. Back in the 80s, and Nick alluded to it. Myself, Nick, Artie, we grew up in a very Anglo-Saxon society, and let's say we had racial slurs to us as we growing up. But
Being called a wog is an understatement. It was a lot worse than that,
lot
right?
worse than
Exactly.
that, yeah. But what I'm trying to get to is that when I put a rugby league jersey on, it became a great equal for myself and my Anglo-Saxon friends, in general, all of us. So the minute we played rugby league, and I'm attributing this to the rugby league, the power of rugby league, and even in today's age, we all became the same person or the same religion or the same ethnicity once I played rugby league in that team, and that continued on in the playground as well. So maybe a 15-year-old boy in the crowd can do a racial slur like that, but rugby league is probably the great equaliser, and what happens on the field and in and around the game has got nothing to do with being called a wog or anything else that any 15-year-old boy can say. So
no, it's wrong. But
view.
I mean, if you're copping a sledge like that from the crowd, just suck it up and
Absolutely.
deal with it.
That's what I think.
Racism has no place in the game. Report it to the authorities. Do whatever. But I just find it hard to believe that he was that busted up by it that he had to leave Sydney and for a few days. And I mean, come on.
Well, again, it's got nothing to do with rugby league. That's what I tried to allude to.
He's going to struggle to get through life if that knocks him over.
Oh, yeah, it's got nothing to. A kid, like I said,
and the kid, educate the
rugby
and the
league.
kid. He's a kid. Educate him through his parents.
Well, that says a lot about his parents. Yeah.
Anyway, concussion rule. So the NRL has announced today that they're introducing a mandatory 11-day stand down for a Category 1 concussion. So a Category 1 concussion is defined by a player who's actually unconscious on the field. So if a player gets called off for a HIA and fails the HIA in the change room, that would be considered a Category 2. But for a player that's actually unconscious on the field of play for a period of time, that's considered a Category 1, and I don't have a problem with it. What do you guys think? I think it's a good move.
Yeah, it's good.
Someone who's unconscious,
Absolutely.
someone who gets knocked out needs time to recover.
Absolutely. We should start talking about the bench, but that's not what you asked me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't think we should. You know why? I love the idea of what we saw on Sunday. I know it's hard on the teams, but it's attrition, right? If a team ends up with 9 players on the field, man, bash it out, man. Like I've got no problem with it at all.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Maybe these days, And the good old days don't mix.
I could just see rugby league in 2 years' time. Okay, we're activating the 23rd player. Get on the phone. Hey, mate, jump in an Uber. We need you at the ground in 10 minutes.
Wow.
I don't understand why, if it happens so early in the game, they can't activate the 19th man or whatever, that 18th man.
They can. The 18th man.
But they reckon it's after 2.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
It was
when
actually, and last year it was actually 3.
it was last year, it was
Yeah.
3, but I think it should be with 1. If it's so
Look,
early in
yep.
the game,
I
just
think
let him go. What's the harm?
I think we'll get there. I think it's a fairly new rule, so they've made some adjustments.
Yeah.
But the one thing that really bugs me, and I did bring this up last year, and a perfect example was, again, my team. Clint Gutherson was brought off for a HIA.
Yeah.
The replay clearly shows that he was hitting the upper chest. It wasn't even head contact.
Yeah.
And he was saying to the ref, he had his hands up, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. No, you got to go off. The
Yeah.
independent doctors called you off. Fair enough. It's 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
He passes the HIA. Why can't you come back on the field?
Did he
If-
come? Did he come
No,
back on?
you got to wait 15
Gotta
minutes.
wait 15 minutes.
Why do you have to wait 15 minutes if you've passed? If you've passed, you've passed. That means you don't have concussion. Go back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's the 6th or 7th minute, and I've passed. I'm good to go back on, but I've got to wait for the 15 minutes. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. I don't get it.
You know what? It's protocol, and they're looking after themselves. The NRL,
But they've passed.
Yeah,
They've
I know,
passed,
I know,
right?
I know.
So they should be allowed to run straight back on.
I know. But you know what? It's for everybody. It's not just for one.
No, I know, but it still just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a touchy subject. Because what's happening all over the world at the moment, and for people's health in contact sports. I mean, look, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, you'd get concussed and you get up and go back in the line. And
When was the last time you watched a UFC card?
the other day, actually. Yeah, different
No,
world.
need to say no more.
You know what's sad
Different
about it? Imagine now we get to the last game before the grand final and Nathan Cleary gets
Nah,
gets
it's like
concussion.
State of Origin
He's
after
out for
they
the
changed the
He's
rules.
out for the grand
They
final.
changed it's like State of Origin. They changed the rules.
But still,
Yeah,
that's,
a Penrith player does a high shot and his suspension gets pushed back to the following season so they can play in the semis.
no,
Right,
but still, like that
and-
robs him of playing in the grand final if it's not as serious.
And while we're which we've seen in the past, we've seen look at the Bulldogs,
Yep.
Steve Price, we've seen
Yep.
Cameron Smith for Melbourne, we've seen
Absolutely, yeah.
captains being ruled out of grand finals.
Yeah.
One that gets me is we saw Jacob Saifidi, he's hit. I forget which Tigers player it was, but he was sent off. I don't think anyone has had a problem with the send off. Did you guys?
Jake Simpkin was the guy.
Yeah,
that
okay.
Simpkins,
Anyone have an issue with the send off?
Yeah, no, should have been sent off. Yeah.
It was pretty safe for the referee. There was only 13 or 14 minutes to go. So at least it's a sin bin. So it's easy to kind of send him off and be decisive when, But
Yeah.
I think everyone can agree it was a
Yeah,
send off, right?
Absolutely.
Got a 5-week suspension.
Is that what they're
5
talking
weeks.
about?
5 weeks.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Did anyone see the Scott Drinkwater incident?
Yes.
He got 3 weeks.
Yeah.
In my opinion, not only was it not a sin bin, it wasn't even a penalty.
Yeah.
It was absurd.
Okay. Yeah.
So to
Well,
penalise that,
I-
in my
I-
opinion.
I agree. No, it was a sin bin. He hit the head. It wasn't meant to hit the head. He overran the play.
Are you referring to Drinkwater or
drinking?
Yeah.
Drinking. No. Safidi should have been sent off and should get 5 weeks or 4 at least.
Yeah.
But Drinky should be playing this week personally.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too much. And not. It's. I don't know what's Buzz saying. Probably give him 10, knowing Buzz, but I don't like it. I don't
Yeah.
like it.
No.
I don't- It was.
Well,
it was. What was it? He threw out his arm.
it was nothing.
Yeah, it was nothing.
He turned. Yeah, it was, and now we're seeing 8.5 foot tall forwards bowling themselves over from a halfback.
Hmm.
You know,
I find that people are getting concussed a lot more easier now. Like even the Kevin Hastings one where he got the guy, Talau, he broke his nose and everything. But when you look at it, it didn't look like much at all, but it concussed him. And I still believe if they have those helmets on for those
The
type of
headgear?
incidents, the headgear, I think they wouldn't get as injured as much. I know it doesn't do as much, but for those
I
particular
agree
ones
with
where it
you.
just touches them, I reckon it,
I agree with you. Apparently, headgear doesn't stop concussions, which begs the question why wear it. For me, I think headgear has to, at least
it'll
to
do
some degree,
something,
protect
yeah.
you a little bit.
exactly. It's got to.
Yeah, maybe it stops them getting cauliflower ears.
Stops cuts and abrasions, but
That's
the,
true. Yeah.
the real reason they wear it is they get sponsored and they get paid to wear it.
There you go.
That's the real
Well,
reason.
look at Beaver Menzies. He used to wear the headgear all the time. I don't think he had many
I'd-
concussions. and
I'd be arguing that if I took someone out with a high shot, I should be getting part of that sponsorship deal because I've put them on camera.
Probably.
Right. But look, speaking of sin bins, I want to turn over to you, George.
Yes, the Simbin section. Last week we handed it over to Nicola, and he spoke about the buys for
The three buys,
three
yeah.
buys. Yeah.
Tough draw.
The week before, I proposed some new teams to enter the rugby league, and I put up Fiji. I was wrong, as you heard. A lot of the reporters this week they'll talking about the Pacifica, but what the reporters haven't told you the full story. So let's go through what the Pacifica bid means, and this is as I call this, what does the league really want? Okay, so they want a Pacifica team, which will embrace Tonga, Samoa, Fiji. There's an island. There's a French Polynesian island, which I can't remember the name of it, which is in the Pacifica, which actually wants to join the Q Cup, but in this instant, they'll be joining the Pacifica bid, and in the future, they want Hawaii to join the Pacifica Island bid. The reason being is the Volantes and the rugby league really believe that they can infiltrate the US and start a competition there, or have a feeder team which just plugs into the Pacifica team, and as they say, as Volantes was quoted, all we need is 1%. All we need is 1%
Of the US market.
of the US
Yep.
market. Okay, that opens a whole wealth of things, Nicola. Can you imagine the pathways, the numbers coming through, not only for the Pacifica team, but for every other team, not only in the NRL, but the new teams that are coming up? Because what they want is a 20-team competition, 2 conferences, 10 teams each side, to play once. They'll play twice in their conference, once the other conference. Have a semi-final series within there, the top 5 within their conference, and the 2 top play off like a Super Bowl sort of final.
So it's fair to say they've obviously been researching foreign models. Of like the Super Bowl, like
so
the NBA.
Yep. Well, this is purely for Volandis, and let's get real. That's who's craft this system, revenue. The broadcasting deal. So we're going into the Pacifica now. Can you imagine the numbers there?
Yeah.
We're going to go Australia wide, and we're going to go South Island, New Zealand. That's where the other teams they want. They want another team in Brisbane, the Ipswich area. They want a team in WA, and they want another team in, like I said, in New Zealand. And they're hoping they can get viewers in America as well. So all of a sudden they go to Channel 9 and Foxtel, and they can ask for a hell of a lot of more money. So that's all they're interested in dollars and dollars and cents, mate. Nick Politis, we didn't know, but Nick Politis was involved in the Dolphins bid.
Yeah.
Volandis sent Nick Politis to shore up the Dolphins bid because despite all the other teams who put a bid in, they wanted Dolphins.
Is that not a conflict of interest? He has no position on the Dolphins. On the Dolphins board, he's the Roosters chairman.
And
he's also on the NRL board.
He's also on the NRL
There's
board.
conflicts left and right.
Yeah, you know what? I think there is conflicts, but what Volandis wants, he gets. So why I say that is he's appointed Nick. He's appointed Nick to go to the Pacifica.
So can I just clarify something?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that Peter Volandis had Nick Politis basically fiscally audit the Dolphins to make sure they were financially viable.
Yes.
Because that's what they wanted them to
Yes, they
be, which
want
they
them.
are. They are financially viable. There's no
Yes,
question about
absolutely they were. Yeah,
that. Okay.
but in every way. So what I believe was told to Nick: if they're not financial viable, get them to be financial viable,
Okay.
and make sure that they tick every box. But Nick came back and said, "Well, they tick every box."
Build a circus tent in Brisbane.
Well, yeah, basically. Yeah, or sombrero, whatever you want to call it, okay? But he's been appointed to the Pacifica bid. So his job is to get all the Pacifica together and make sure the bid is strong,
I
okay?
thought his job was to run the Roosters. This
Well,
guy's going to have his hands full.
He's doing that as well.
Yeah.
He's doing that as well.
And he's doing that well.
He's doing that very well. So,
Well, he's doing everything well.
Exactly.
You got to hand it to him.
so,
Yeah.
so basically, basically, what they want, they're going to get. They want the Pacifica team. It's going to happen. The
Yeah. Okay.
25, it's going to happen.
Where will they be based?
Yeah, they'll be playing. The idea is they'll be a satellite team, so they'll be playing out from Cairns. They'll be based in Cairns and playing games in Fiji, Samoa, Tonga. They'll be playing games
Wow.
in there. Yeah.
There you
Which
go.
means the eligibility rules will change for the state of origin.
We haven't spoken.
That's another. I'm going to
haven't
say it again.
spoken
I
about
can't
that.
wait for that episode.
You know what? At the end, eligibility will not change, because if they're born in Fiji and played their first rugby league in Fiji, well, they're Fijians. They can't play Origin. They've got to be played in Australia. So
Yeah, I know, but if
and
they're
Pacifica-
representing Fiji,
No, Pacifica's not Australia.
no, but we have players representing Samoa who want to play or who are playing state of origin. That's it. Look, it's for another night, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be a whole pod just on its own.
Yeah.
Artie, I don't know if you hear. We had this conversation last year, but George and I have differing opinions on
Yeah.
eligibility rules. I'm old school.
Yep.
You have to be Australian to play Origin. That's me.
I tend to
George has a different
agree
view.
with you.
He
mate.
agrees with you.
I'll be with you.
Good, thanks. You're the first one who is, by the way. I brought my call out. I'm shout out to Frank Mastronato. I brought him on the show, and he sided with George.
No.
Frank, you won't be coming back on the show.
So the bottom line is that Nick Volandis can't deal that the AFL broadcasting deal is larger than the NRL one, and we get more viewers.
They get more crowds.
They get more
Yeah.
crowds, but that's got nothing to do with the broadcasting deal.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So
Yep.
he's going out of his way to ensure
Mm-hmm.
some of the biggest revenues in the game. And you know what? I'm fully behind him, because call it. He's got his own interests.
I don't think so. I think
No,
it's
the
the
rugby
interest of
league.
the game. Yeah,
I'll
I do.
I'll tell you why. Another reason why it's going to happen. As we know, Nick Politis, Volandis is very political, and all those Pacifica Islands are in jeopardy, or China is circling to bring them on board. For their political and for their strategic.
Well, they're closer
yeah.
than people might think. They've already got Burwood and Ashfield.
Well, yeah, yeah. So when the Prime Minister went to Fiji, he alluded that Fiji will be in the NRL, and that's been passed on to Volandis as well. So it's a political thing as well. He wants to tie the Pacific nations to Australia even more, and sport is a way of doing it. So this thing's going to happen.
That's some pretty shrewd insight there, George.
This thing's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's. I was going to do actually the WA bid, which I'll do next week, but
Yeah.
because they're talking about the Pacifica bid, I did some research, and that's what I found out. And this is the reason why we should have a Pacific team, Nicola. Okay, I did some number checking on how many juniors are playing the game, and I focused on basically Parramatta, Penrith, and sort of the southwest of Sydney. Okay, and there's a 26% decline from last year in the Parramatta
That's huge.
district. The southwest district, which is Campbelltown, there's an 18% decline. in Penrith, I just got the number here because I thought it was damning. There's 800 less registered players than last year.
Wow.
Yeah. To give you an idea, Penrith's got 7,000 registered players from under 6s to under 20s. The ladies' game has increased 137%. So what?
Those 800 players probably went to Canterbury.
They probably did. Who knows? They probably did.
Sorry, mate. Go. I had to say that.
Actually,
Sorry.
you know why I'm not even mentioning the other clubs or the other regions, because they're so minuscule. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not worth.
What about the
saying.
Roosters? What about the Eastern Suburbs?
Well, their catchment is the Central Coast, so their numbers look okayish because Central Coast, but the actual Eastern Suburbs has got
Nothing.
one team.
Yeah.
One team, and St George against because of the Illawarra, it looks half decent. It's about quarter what Parramatta's got,
That's interesting. Yeah.
but they're not worth saying.
Sorry about what we were saying.
Yep, Parramatta's got 4,000 registered players.
4,000, yeah.
Yep.
Gee.
Queensland, 70,000 registered players
It's
in
a whole
all of
state.
Queensland. Yeah,
Yeah.
in all of Queensland, and all Australia wide is 160,000 registered players.
Wow.
That's all Australia. And if you compare it to soccer, New South Wales has 160 registered players.
So
just
nearly
in New
half
South
come out
Wales.
of Queensland.
You can't compare
Yeah.
it to soccer.
Yeah.
You can't
compare
compare it to soccer.
And then there's a touchy-feely sort of thing. Remember when we used to go to rugby league back in the 80s and 90s?
Of course.
Would
I
go
missed
ear-
that place.
We'd go early, yeah?
President's Cup,
Presidents,
reserve grade,
reserve
first grade.
Yeah, all three. And a good clip, a good standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically reserve grade was first graders.
Which is why I love watching reserve grade, because you recognise the players who had been dropped from first or who were
Yeah.
trying to fight their way back into first.
and when,
That's
when
right.
someone got graded, they were basically ready.
Yep.
We didn't have to wait. Now we're talking about 30 NRL games and to get ready, this and that. Yeah. And I'll tell you something else. I can't remember a time I didn't play when I was a youngster in a competition less than 6 divisions.
Can I use an analogy on what you just said
Yeah.
in terms of the 3 grades? You know, I love rock music. I love going to concerts.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a similar thing. If you go back to the 70s, 80s, bands had to open up third on the bill, second on the bill. By the time a band got to headline, they damn well knew how to headline.
Absolutely.
It's a similar kind of thing.
Same
the
thing as
progression.
rugby league players. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same rugby thing.
Yeah, and it's I really miss that.
Yeah.
That day out at the footy, the 3 grades, I really miss that.
I do too. But now one day you're playing SG, but the other day you're doing your debut for NRL.
And grand final day was always President's Cup, reserve grade, first grade.
Yep. The other thing I've got here is remember schoolboy football?
Of course.
Remember it was on television?
Oh, yeah.
Remember Fairfield Pats?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sterlo.
Yeah.
Mm.
We had
Holy Cross.
Holy Cross.
Yep.
With all the Balmain boys.
Yeah.
I mean, they show sort of schoolboy footy now on Foxtel, and it's not at a very high clip.
No.
So, what I'm alluding to, and I get a lot of pushback that the game is flourishing. It is at the top level, and don't forget that the training that they get at a younger age these days is much higher quality than we got. We just got thrown into feeder teams, and hopefully because players were good around us, that's how we will improve. But now they get so well trained in every way. You're bound to, if you've got any talent, you're bound to come through. So this is why I suggest we need an influx of not only the Pacifica but other regions as well. We talk about the international game, and I allude to we needed to grow. You know what I mean? One player coming out of Serbia is one player we didn't have.
Look, I'll be frank with you. The reason why I don't want to expand the competition, it's real easy. Parramatta hasn't won a premiership since 1986. You want to bring more teams in and make it even harder? It's hard enough as it is.
Maybe. Or maybe you can buy more Pacifica players.
We've already got about 50-60%.
Yeah, true.
But George, great piece there, mate. There's a lot of really good, insightful research that you did there.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I wasn't aware of that. That's especially those numbers. I was always under the impression they were bigger. the
Me-
junior bases.
Me too, actually.
So that's really eye-opening.
Me too. And
Yeah,
next week I'll bring the WA bid,
Can't wait.
which is the Bears, of course.
the North Sydney Bears.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's what interests
Yeah.
me. But
yeah. Greg,
they will be in the competition. But
apparently, Greg Florime's been training, waiting for the chance that he's ready to come back out.
I'll tell you
So-
what, how he played and how he looks. I've
Yeah.
seen him. He's probably ready to play.
Probably ready to play, man.
Flo's probably
Got
ready
me.
to play.
Oh, for sure.
Good stuff. Artie, you got some spam questions for us?
Yeah, man, I looked through our spam and we did get a couple of questions
More
in there.
spam?
Yeah, some spam questions,
I
yeah.
love spam.
Big Tino from Coolangatta, he just wants to know if the Roosters have got any room in the cap so they can fit him in this season.
I'm sure they
Maybe
have.
if he gets a
too.
I
haircut.
don't think so.
No, I'm sure they've got something.
No,
there
they've got
for him.
something?
They've got to have something.
Jackson from Newcastle, he wants to know if the Tigers are missing him yet.
No, no.
These three questions are very similar. I've got Spiro from Cogra. He wants to know when the grand final tickets are coming out.
Spirit of God.
Spiro's already. The Dragons are getting excited. And Mohammed from
Mate.
Belmore, he said the same thing. One of the grand final tickets are coming for sale. But this is the weird one. Wayne from Redcliffe wants to know when the grand final tickets are coming out.
Well, wait.
He wants to know what date, what time, and where will it be played. 'Cause
He won't
wants
be
to
there.
be there because I don't know if he's going to be
if you
there.
If you don't book him in now, he
That's
won't
it,
be
we won't
there.
be there. But yeah, they're the only questions I got, mate. There wasn't much else. Just those.
I got
That's
a
enough.
feeling. I got a feeling. Good old Wayne from Redcliffe. He knows when the tickets are coming out. I think.
He's been there a few times,
He's
huh?
been there.
Will he be
yes.
there though?
He's
That's
been
the
there.
problem.
No.
Will he show up?
No, will he show up? Will he show
Yeah,
up?
exactly.
Let's look at last week's footy.
Yes.
Let's review. We'll do a quick review of the games last week. So, opened up on the Thursday night game. Penrith hosted South. You know what? I was a little disappointed. I really expected a doozy. I didn't get it. It
Yeah.
was one-sided. Penrith sure as hell answered their critics.
Yep.
They came busting out of the gates and they played really, really well. Souths were disappointing.
Yeah.
Latrell, it wasn't a sledge. He tried to spark things up before the game, but I think they just got overrun.
Yeah.
They didn't really get a chance. The halves, their forwards didn't really give them a chance to do much.
Yeah.
Young Ilias, he had a man of the match game the week before, but he was really nowhere to be seen in this one. And when the game was on the line in the last 10 minutes, he kicked out on a full, he knocked on. I think the pressure got to him a little bit.
Yeah. I actually picked Penrith to win last week because I thought they would bounce back. I knew they would. And
You said it all along.
yeah,
I picked South.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
be discounting them yet. They're a
Yeah.
quality team.
You said it all along. Yeah.
They needed a good kick up the backside. I think they got it in those two losses, and they didn't lose by much. It was a field goal in the end,
In
and
both.
try
Yeah.
in the end.
Yeah.
So it was just rust. They had a lot off season where they played World Cups. They came off a grand final, and they went just back to the same, you know. And
I saw the Penrith of old. George, what do you
exactly,
think?
and the hooker too came in.
I saw Penrith
played
of
more.
old.
Yeah, you're right, Nico. They went back to basics.
Exactly.
They went back to their structure. And some of the players who the new boys, the new back rowers, maybe they trained the structure, the Penrith structure, but they haven't played the Penrith structure, and that's what I saw. They went straight back to structure and they concentrated in defence, and they went straight through the front door. They went back to going through the front door. The caveat is that they had 80% possession compared to 60% Rabbitohs. Rabbitohs missed 42 tackles, Nicola. You're asking for trouble when you're doing that.
Yeah.
Which begs the question: if you're coach Demetrio, after the fact, do you go to your players like Latrell and say, "Next time, just shut up. We don't need to fuel the fire." I've never understood why players fuel it. You know, like you're motivating the other team to say, "Okay." It just doesn't make sense to me.
I think with Latrell, you let Latrell be Latrell.
Yeah.
I don't
But
think there's
it's-
much thought behind
Would
that.
you agree that it's backfired more often than not on him?
Absolutely, it's backfired on him,
Yeah.
and absolutely it's backfired on most people who say anything about the opposition, especially when they're a champion team. I misread it. I definitely misread it.
Yeah, we didn't see. South certainly were nowhere near their potential. They're a much better side than that.
Yeah. Look, at their best, and
But Penrith have had the wood over them in the past few seasons.
they have had the wood,
Yeah.
and I was expecting Souths to win to break that hoodoo because I believed, and I still believe, but I believed that they had spoken over the summer, and they were ready to win, and I think in the back of their minds, they're set back at the moment. They come back to reality, South Sydney. Cody wasn't himself.
He was doing his old.
his
He
old.
actually, he was himself.
Oh yeah, okay.
He was being
He was
himself.
frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was niggling. He didn't play rugby league. He played rugby league the last 10 minutes, and well, it was junk time, but they put that try on.
What
Paul-
about that try that Luai put on,
Yeah,
where he's falling over
Yep.
and stretched out with the left foot and put that? That was brilliant.
that was.
Yeah,
That
look,
was brilliant.
that was just brilliant, and you,
Instinct.
yeah. But you've got to give credit to the chasers chasing that ball and who
Yeah.
put it down, but that's what I saw. They went back to their structure. What is it? Luke Garner.
Yeah. He's a good player.
He's a good player, and
Good pickup.
I misread it. They've put him on the left, and he's running kick out lines still. It's not the same. He's not kick out. But you know what? All he has to do is play structure and run those lines, and let the inside people
Yeah.
do the rest. The two front rows, Leota and I forget the other front row, the other psycho,
Fisher Harris.
Fisher Harris.
Mm.
They came back to their psycho best and absolutely smashed anything
The
in front of
forwards
them.
just steamed. They
Well,
went
that's-
right through the middle
And
because
that's where they got
that
back.
was and publicly known. It's not just South. That was the game plan
Well, that's the game. That's their game plan.
against Penrith, is to go straight through the front door.
Front door.
And
Oh,
Penrith
yes.
just said, you know what, we're going to do that to you,
Yeah.
and they
that's what-
really did.
yes, they did. But that's so. I mean, we all look at Penrith and we perceive that Penrith is a brilliant attacking team, and that's how they win comps. Yeah, they are. They're a great attacking
It's
team.
all built on defence, though.
It's built on defense. It's built on
Every
defense.
I remember years and years ago, Parramatta was playing. I'm going back to the 90s, and it was a radio broadcast that I was listening to because we didn't have the luxury of
That's
Foxtel
right.
back then. And Jack Gibbs and Parramatta were losing at half time. They were actually playing against the South Queensland Crushers, I still remember. And they were losing at half time. And Jack Gibson was one of the commentators. And Jack was asked at half time, if you're in the sheds right now, what would you be telling the Eels about getting their attack right? Because apparently they, at the time they had made a few mistakes in attack or whatever. And Jack Gibson's response blew me away because I didn't really understand the game much that well at the time. He said, I wouldn't be telling them anything about the attack. I'd be telling them to tighten up their defence.
Yeah.
And the other guy, I can't remember who it was, he said, but they're behind. They need to score points. And he said, tighten up the defence. He goes, the rest will come.
Yeah.
The
And that's
rest
what,
will come.
and that's exactly what Penrith done. They went back to their old structure of lift and push back, and they were losing more meters than gaining South Sydney, and they just lost the plot, and that's what happened. I just want to shout out. They lost Appy, but they've got Appy.
The youngster.
Yep, Sonny
Lou-
Taru.
Taruva. I was about to
Taruva.
mention him. I
Yeah.
was trying to find his name.
He
looks good.
He's a special individual. Yeah, he's a small body, and they're going to move him around in defence, and he might be a spot, Nicola, but
Time.
He's your answer. He's 28. He's not a youngster.
Oh, really? I
He's
didn't
been
know
there
that.
for a while, and
Okay.
he's been toiling away in the lower grades. But let me tell you, if they give him time, they're not gonna. I'll take that back. Appy is the best in the business. He's similar to Appy. He's similar to Appy.
Well, I mean, we'll preview it shortly, but I can't wait to see South. They got the Roosters this week. That'll be
That'll be a cracker.
that'll be a cracker. But
Game.
moving on, the Eels went down to the Sharks at home. Second loss in a row.
Yep.
30 points to 26. Goal kicking was the difference.
That's all it was, man.
Yeah, and
5 tries each.
and the lead changed hand 5 times.
What
a game.
What'd you say?
10-0
Nicole?
up.
What'd you say?
Dumb mistakes again.
Yeah.
Gutho throwing a dumb intercept when they had all the momentum and a 10-point lead. Just same thing as the week before. Dumb mistakes, threw it away.
I wanna shout out Hofgood.
Hopgood.
He had an
He's
absolute
great.
blind eye.
I-
yeah.
So good.
You know what? When you tell me,
I knew nothing about him.
yeah, or is it the Penrith Junior, or
Yeah.
He's a
from the
Panthers fan.
Reggies,
Yeah.
yeah. You know what? When you tell me there's not enough players for another rugby league team, how many Hofgoods is there out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's outstanding. He's ready.
His
He's
first
ready.
2 games, he's been outstanding.
And you know what? He's a Queenslander. And what's the bet? If he keeps on doing what he's doing now, and I think second half, back end, he sort of got a bit tired and tapered off. But the first half, he was out. Everything was coming off him, okay?
Papali, who?
Yeah, well, he's not better, but sort of carbon copy, and he pops more. Okay, he might have a Moran jersey on his back if he keeps
I hope so.
keeps
Yeah,
on
good
going
guy,
like he is. Look, it was anyone's game. Cronulla just happened to win.
Yeah.
A few mistakes.
They hang in there, don't they? They just don't give up. It's a team that just always is in there for the fight. Will Kennedy was outstanding.
I thought Moses had a blinder. He really did.
Yeah.
Okay. My only criticism of the game, because it was a great viewing game. Defense probably thrown out the window, but I wouldn't worry about it right this moment for both teams actually. But the hooker Hodges, he's got to give cleaner service to the two. That will take time.
Yeah.
He'll work it out because he's a natural ball player.
Yeah.
But Moses wants the ball in his hands now.
Yeah.
Like his
Cronulla
previous.
Were missing Wade Graham and Nico Hines. Parramatta's still missing their entire back row. Madison and Lane not due back for another couple of weeks. So, dare I say, Maddo will be struggling to get back into that side.
He'll be on the bench.
I wouldn't be moving Hopwood, that's for sure.
He'll be on the bench. Can I just say something? Talking about the bench, okay? Someone has got to teach Brad to count.
Finally, it's made the media. How long have I been saying it for? So once again, on a hot afternoon, he's played a man short.
Yeah.
He's played a man short.
I couldn't believe that. Give one of the
Sorry, he actually
5 minutes.
He actually played 2 men short because the
2
other
men short,
forward, Makatoa, who we lovingly refer to as Makaslower, he only got 14 minutes.
14.
So he basically played with 2 men on the bench.
Oh, look,
What's the, and you know what his rebuttal was to that when asked in the press conference?
what was that?
Junior and Reggie are good players. We need them out there.
They were dying. They were gassed.
I know.
The last 10 minutes, they were gassed.
What do you expect? They weigh 600 kilos each.
They were brilliant. They were
know.
they were the two, for me, they were the two man of the matches.
Makes no sense
but they
at all.
were gone. Poor Junior.
Well, that's one thing I might have left out when I mentioned about Brad Arthur's contract extension before. It actually includes a clause for a tutor so that he can learn how to count. Let's move on from that. Broncos 28, Cowboys 16. I tell you what, this is the last time I'm underestimating the Broncos.
Wow. Should never underestimate them.
I thought the Cowboys. Yeah. What about Reece Walsh?
Wow.
Fantastic.
Corey Oates, broken jaw.
Yeah.
He's out for an extended period. Yeah.
Okay, so Reece Walsh, that is the best debut game for a club. Not a debut as in like NRL, debut for a club that I've seen. Honestly, I haven't seen it. He's electric.
Yeah.
He was devastating. Once at the start, he sort of was clunky, but once he started working with Isra Man, once he started working with what's the centre there who's going to Farnsworth. He's going to get better.
Yeah.
He's going to get better, and you know what? He will have a maroon jersey.
He's
the
missing piece Brisbane were missing last year. Like, don't get me wrong, the other guy was doing a good job there as well, but this guy's just got that extra zip to get him over the line. I think they'll definitely be a top 8.
Anything to worry about with the Cowboys? Or were Brisbane just too good?
No, Brisbane were just too good. Yeah, absolutely. Cowboys have got nothing to worry about.
Look, 2 weeks they have faded. Faded. And how much I love the Chad. He disappointed me a little bit because I find Chad is my ultimate halfback because he can ride the wave and stretch it as long as he can. And when they're under the pump, he does everything to get that momentum back, okay? Even if he doesn't get it back, he tries to get it back. So he's he's a textbook halfback for me, okay? He was disappointing. You're going to kill me. You know, Nanai, freak, try scoring machine.
Yeah.
But he doesn't work hard enough.
Oh, yeah. You reckon in the defence?
Things came a bit easier to him last season.
He'll get it. He'll be
but the Cowboys need to be better for him to be better as well.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Drinky bad luck. It doesn't deserve 4 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, I
3
thought it was
weeks.
3 weeks. I thought it was.
3
I
weeks.
thought it was a bit harsh. It was a try-saving situation. I don't think there was any intent. But hey,
Can I
what
just
do I know?
point out some players? Payne Haas, my God.
Yeah,
Every time I see that boy, it's just my. It's for me. It's just an
and
orgasm. He's the
and that's
best.
the word, boy. He's so young.
Oh, I love him.
He's a beast.
Herbie
great.
Farmsworth. I'm
Yeah.
telling you now, it's the Dolphins' best buy.
Mm.
He's a devastating ball runner. Israel man, who saw that coming?
Yeah.
Even last year.
Yeah.
Okay, Israel man. You
Yeah.
know how hard it is to find a 6.
Yeah,
My Godfather. And you know what? Flegler off the bench, he comes on and he just continues the role.
yeah.
And that's
He-
another Dolphins
He's
player.
another Dolphins player. And the actual game, okay, that was the game of the round for me.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
intense. It was entertaining. It was high quality.
Yeah.
It was back and forward. It got a bit messy at the end because of the heat, but what a game!
They're a good
What do we
team.
treat?
They're a fantastic team to watch, aren't
They
they? They're
are.
just so enjoyable.
They are.
I thought
It's-
Trevor Gilmeister had a really good game too.
Yeah,
the other
he
night.
was- he was-
just
he was
putting
on
in
fire.
The axe, putting in some big hits.
He was on fire.
Great.
But,
Gilly was on fire.
Saturday afternoon, the Roosters got their first win, 20 points to 12 over the Warriors. Is it the same old story for the Warriors, or did the Roosters come good?
I reckon the Roosters were cruising, mate. They didn't really.
They didn't
get
look
hit
that-
second gear.
they didn't, did they?
It was just, it was probably my bludger game actually.
What about the
Yeah,
Warriors,
it
though,
was-
Artie?
Yeah, I don't know. Last week they did okay, but this week I don't know, mate. I saw a few little scary signs there of last year, but no, they still got more. Their defense is a lot better.
Look, it was an 8-point. It was
There was an 8 point in the end.
sorry,
They hung in there.
Yeah,
which was
it
good.
wasn't a big.
They
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
let the game get away from them, which was good. But yeah, it was just a bit of a bludger of a game, that one, to be honest. It was a very slow motion. It was just like they're playing the motions.
It was
you know, like-
boring.
yeah, it was.
It was boring.
Hot afternoon, Nicola.
yeah,
People
yeah.
were gassed after 15 minutes. The game was slow motion, like
Yeah.
Artie said. The winner here for me is the Warriors.
Which begs the question: if we can play at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, why can't we play at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon?
We should be able to.
Yeah, we're not. We're playing 4 and 6.
The winner here for me, Nicola, were the Warriors. I saw enough resilience, and I saw Webster, who personality coming out in this team. Was the Roosters in second gear? Yes, they were.
Yeah,
they were.
yeah.
Man.
Yes, they were. But I saw enough in the Warriors to say they're going to have an improved season.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and they're going to jag more wins than last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And look, I mean,
They're going to be nuisance value. They're going to spring
Yeah.
a few
And-
upsets
and-
here and there.
And
going down 8 points to
just
the
lost.
Roosters for the Warriors, it's not a
they
bad
just
thing.
lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just lost. Teddy was amazing. Like it or not, Suali'i, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a good player.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you.
What's-
19.
What's with that no pass to Tedesco?
Yeah, look, you know what? Can I be honest? What
If I was
what that
Tedesco, I
was?
would have waited till we got in the sheds and torn him to shreds.
Yeah, I don't think he actually did that. Number one. Number two, you know what it is? Just a 19-year-old boy being greedy.
Yeah, I know. But someone needs to rip into him because
Well,
that's how young kids learn,
Yeah.
right? It's to look for
Yeah.
your support player.
Yeah.
Because that's a try under the
yeah,
sticks.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
And he's
agree.
just lucky that whatever his
scored
name
a
was
try,
there
yeah.
backing up. But yeah, look, they got the win, and they'll really be tested this week against South.
Yes. Shout out to Nat Butcher, who got the game ball.
Yeah.
And Brandon Smith. What the? He can't finish a game for the
Yeah,
Roosters.
I know.
Well,
He's
he's
got
never,
bad luck.
he's
eh?
only ever gone 80 minutes once in his entire career.
Is that right?
Brandon Smith, yeah.
Even in the
He's
Melbourne?
only gone 80 minutes once in
Well,
his
there you go.
entire
Jeez.
career.
I didn't know that.
And the Roosters need him to be an 80-minute player.
Yes,
Well, they got
oh.
Connor Watson, so he's a
Yeah, but
good utility to come in and help.
that's a fact.
Okay.
That's a fact. Once
but-
for Melbourne, that's it.
Yeah, okay then. I
Well,
hope,
that- but
I
having
hope
said
he
that-
gets better.
Having said that, he had an
Yes,
injury.
I hope.
a
I was
rib
going to say.
injury,
He
yeah.
did, yeah.
I hope
yeah.
he gets better. And
It wasn't a fitness
He's
thing.
not a
No, no,
100%.
Yeah.
no. That's what I was just saying. That what the hell with Brandon Smith? I hope he gets better because I want to see him.
Yeah.
I want to see him play well.
Yeah.
Now I gotta apologise for something. I got my wires crossed earlier when we were talking about the Drinkwater suspension earlier in the pod, and I was talking about forwards bouncing off halfbacks. I got my wires crossed. I was referring to an incident in this game, the Dolphins and the Raiders, where one of the I think it was the Dolphins halfback was sin binned.
Oh, yes.
That was for me ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
And that's what I had in my mind when I was speaking earlier. So I think it was the lock for
O'Sullivan?
Canberra.
No, wasn't O'Sullivan?
No, but the Canberra forward. I think it
Oh,
was
the
a lot.
Canberra forward, Sutton. Ryan, not Sutton.
Bounced off him and
Hudson Young.
he landed in Bay 66. He bounced off the halfback. The halfback got sin binned.
Yeah.
I thought that was just crazy.
Ridiculous.
But the Dolphins, again, 20-14, 2 back-to-back wins. Who saw it? I mean,
No one saw it.
No one saw this
No
one.
one.
They thought.
No one saw it.
But you know what? We should have seen it because it was their first game in Redcliffe, sold out crowd.
yeah.
So, and after last week, it was it shouldn't have been a surprise because they put in a big effort. You knew they were going to come out hard. I think Raiders, did they drop off? Because they were looking comfortable at the start. They looked okay. But,
You know what it was? It was wet.
Oh, the weather, yeah, that was all.
It was wet. It was
pouring,
rainy.
Yeah,
Horrible weather.
yeah,
The super coaches bought a team of experienced middles,
yeah.
and they just grinded out. They just grinded out. The Raiders. The Raiders did fall a bit. Kafusi just leads the way. He put a hit on Hudson
Yeah.
Young, unforgettable hit.
Second week in a row he's done
Second
that.
week.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's got a new lease of life. The Bromwich boys have got a new lease of life. And now we've got these young backs, the Hammer. I didn't know he was that good.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Okay. And Katoa, for a 19-year-old boy, he just keeps on improving. Okay, so what's actually happening? And Tom Gilbert, I didn't know Tom Gilbert was that good either, by the way.
The Hammer was behind Drinkwater, and it was out of him and Drinkwater for the fullback spot. So Drinky had a breakout season last year, which absolutely killed Fido
Well, guess what?
spot. And now he's in the Dolphins.
Guess what?
So
Yeah, so you know what? It was a grind fest. I really enjoyed the game. It was messy. It was mistake riddled. Okay, it played in the Dolphins' hands because if it was a dry track, it might have been a different
Yeah.
story. Okay, I don't worry about Canberra yet, but I'm worried about Canberra.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. How good is it? They've got
Yeah.
2 wins. They got
Yeah,
4
it's
points,
good to see.
and you know what? I'm going to tip them this week again.
Yes,
So-
you got to.
The next 2 games we've already covered, but let's run through them. The Dogs and the Storm again.
electrifying.
Yeah,
we talked
dogs
about
were,
it earlier.
Dogs were good, yeah.
Props to
I was
them.
proud of them,
Especially away from home down in Melbourne.
They were so physical.
Yeah.
They rid the role. What can I say? They weathered the storm in the second half. They were everything I wanted to
No
see.
pun intended. They weathered
Yeah.
the storm.
Yeah. I look, depleted.
Munster.
Storm
That,
team.
that's my only reason I went Dogs.
Munster would have made a difference.
Yeah, massive.
But I don't know. Maybe the power that the Bulldogs showed, they actually played well.
Yeah.
Go back and look at the first half. Go back and look at the game. It was a very powerful performance.
Yeah,
If they can back that up, that's the key.
they came out with a point to prove. They really wanted to
think
back up
so.
from last
The,
week, and they
I
really
think so.
played extremely well. Good on
The
them.
Tigers and the Knights we're not going to talk about because we already covered that, right?
Yeah,
in depth.
sure.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about the Dragons and the Gold
Well,
Coast?
basically, it was Dragons played really well most of the game. There was a small period where the Titans got piggybacked up to their half and they scored some really soft tries. A bit of bad defence and goal line defence from the Dragons. But overall, great performance by the Dragons. Titans were awful.
They were awful.
They weren't that good.
They were awful.
Tanner Boyd had a bad kicking game. I know you like the other Sexton guy better. But there was just nothing good coming out of that Titans game. It was totally opposite to what they did last week because last week they came off a good win. But, hats off to the Dragons, mate. They looked totally different to last year. They were moving the ball around. Sloan made a difference, and the speed out of the ruck I thought, was a major key.
All right, boys. Well, let's have a quick shootout. Best game
sure.
of the round?
For obvious reasons, I had the Dragons because, but if I had to pick, it would have been the Broncos Cowboys. That to me was a quality game.
George?
Broncos Cowboys.
Bludger of the round.
The
worst game we've ever seen.
The Tigers and the Knights. Yeah.
What stood out this round?
To me, the Dogs win.
Yeah,
That was pretty.
I agree.
Pretty good.
I agree with that
and
one.
I'll back it up and I'll put the Knights win as well because I thought the Knights.
And you know
didn't
what?
spot
The
it.
Dogs had a couple of tries disallowed.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a win; it was a demolition.
Yeah, so that was a good win for the Dogs and also the Knights. The Knights, they shouldn't have won that game, but they won. So that's 2 good wins.
Yeah, I liked the emergence of the young brigade. Your Katawas,
Yeah, up at the Dolphins.
your Sloans,
Yeah.
your Isramans. we're seeing all this new crop coming through, and I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it. I'm loving it.
Who gets the John Creese spray of the week this week?
Melbourne Storm. The
think
John
they-
Creese
they
spray
got-
his own team.
They got it at half time.
What do you reckon?
You reckon Storm?
Well,
Just for those
it's
of
John
you who
Creese,
don't know,
mate.
John Creese is Craig Bellamy. We all know who John Creese is.
I'm
Cobra
going
Kai.
the Tigers.
nah, I reckon
I-
Creasy would have sprayed the
I don't-
hell out of that.
Oh, he
Yeah.
did.
He did
Yeah, he did,
exactly.
But
That's
I've
why.
got to agree with George. If I'm spraying anyone, it's you know what? Not the Tigers. Tim Sheens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's who I'm
yeah,
spraying.
bloody oath. Spray Sheens. Go.
Yeah.
They're mates as well, so spray him.
Now, thanks to one of our famous sponsors, who gets the Manolis Player of the Round?
The Fruits of
The
Lucky
Fruits
Pack.
of Lucky Pack, yeah.
Yeah, the Fruits of Lucky Pack.
I'm with George. Reece Walsh. She was outstanding.
No,
Reece
I haven't
Walsh
got
for
Reece
the
Walsh.
Broncos?
Reece Walsh.
I haven't
yeah.
got Reece
Oh,
Walsh.
you haven't got Reece
No,
Walsh.
I haven't
Well,
got-
for
Who do
me,
you
it
got,
was
George?
Reece Walsh.
Well, mate, I've got to say that this young man lives in the area where he's got his shop. He really, really, really enjoys the Souvlaki pack, and especially the chips, which have got extra parmesan. And he takes it to all his team, and unfortunately, he doesn't get too much because everybody taxes it off him, except especially the older players. But he really enjoys going to Manolis. Sloan.
Oh, Sloan. Wow.
I thought he was
He was
electrifying.
good. He was good.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you know what? We were waiting for it. We've seen glimpses, but now we know what he's about. And if he comes out and gives us next week a Barry Crocker,
Yeah.
well, it's not on Hook anymore. It's on him.
Now that we're talking about it, I wouldn't mind getting one on the way home myself.
Outstanding. There's no pop-up shop, but if you're in the south of Sydney, that's where he's got his shops, Manolis.
Oh, he's everywhere, mate.
Let's
He's everywhere.
let's preview this week's round with our tips. Opens tomorrow night. Manly
Yeah.
hosting Parramatta.
Here we are again. Manly and Parra.
You know what? I've tipped Parramatta the first 2 weeks. I've got to go Manly this week. I can't tip the Eels.
I'm going Eels.
I'm going Eels.
The Eels
too.
have got to bounce back. 0 and 2. That is a must win for them.
0 and 5.
I
it'll be.
don't believe Manly. What I saw against the Bulldogs.
George, you're setting yourself up for another apology next
No,
week.
I'm not.
mate.
I don't believe
Okay.
him. And you know what? Parramatta, like you said, they were so close. They could have been 2-0.
Mm.
So go the Eels.
Knights hosting the Dolphins. Now the Knights, they're going to be
Knights-
depleted.
They're depleted.
Yeah, they're going to be depleted. So
It'd be funny.
obviously Ponga, Saifidi, not to mention a few others. I'm going for the trifecta. The Dolphins have to get a hat trick.
It'd be funny if they lose this one and they won the first two. But yeah, you can't see anything but a Dolphins win here.
I think the Dolphins are going have to show, or are going to show, the Tigers what character and discipline and getting your office upstairs right
Yeah.
is. Okay,
Yeah.
Dolphins will win because Newcastle is exactly the same position as West.
Yeah.
One guy I want to point out, keep an eye out on the Newcastle fullback, Lachlan Miller.
Love
He's pretty good.
Love it.
He's fantastic. Ex-Cronulla boy, came from the
Yeah.
Sharks. Yeah, keep an eye on him. You'll see some good runs from him.
Roosters Rabbitohs Friday night. Allianz Stadium. I'm going to go the Rabbitohs.
I'm going the Chooks because Urea Hargraves and Radley are back, which is a good sign. I like the look of their team.
Be interesting to see how Robbo prepares them for this one.
Yeah.
Last 2 games last year, he overcooked them for one, he undercooked them for the other.
Well, that's why I think they were a bit second gear against Warriors. I think
Yeah.
they had their eye on this one.
This
So
one, yeah.
They're
George?
going for a big one.
Maybe look, the local derby, the game we wait for every year, especially the first meeting, or even the second meeting. Was it 7 Simbins last time they
Yeah,
played?
that's
Yeah.
right. 7 seconds. The
you
book
know-
of feuds.
Yeah, the Book of Feuds, all right. I think Souths will win.
Yeah.
The Roosters haven't shown the level, that level this year. They could produce it on Friday night, but I'm comfortable with Souths.
Yeah.
And kicking off Saturday afternoon, the Gold Coast hosting the Melbourne Storm.
I can't see anything.
It's hard to tip against the Gold Coast, but can Melbourne really do that 2 weeks in a row?
Storm don't lose 2 games in a row.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they still don't have Munster or Coates back.
Doesn't matter.
Oh,
No.
sorry.
Yeah, I think Coates is back this week and Olam is back. They're getting
Is
a-
Olam back?
Yeah,
is he?
Olam's back and
Okay.
Coates. So they've got a couple of troops coming back, to be honest. And Tamakamika, whatever his name is, the forward. So
Yeah.
Kamakamika, his name is. So
Come
yeah,
a chameleon.
they're getting some troops back.
Come a chameleon.
That's it.
You know what?
Boy George.
Structure will win out.
Yeah. Okay. Cowboys hosting the Warriors.
Ooh.
Cowboys, they won't lose 2 in a row either.
Nah, I can't see nothing.
And
Spi-
unfortunately, it's in North Queensland.
I see a spirited performance by the Warriors, but I see the Cowboys winning this one.
Look, an improving Warriors team will go down to the North Queensland team.
They reckon this Chester guy that's playing fullback is pretty impressive as well, very fast. So
Yeah.
keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Apparently he's a really good player.
Okay, I'll have a look at him.
Yeah.
Is it youngster?
Youngster,
Local product?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's covering
I'm very interested there.
for Drinky.
Broncos hosting the Dragons, Artie.
Oh.
Ah, jeez.
Will Hook pull another one out?
The Broncos have been the best team to watch and the best performing team in the first 2 rounds. Playing over in Brisbane, Saints have got some good luck there recently. But yeah, their record isn't too bad in Brisbane. But I can't see the Broncos losing this one either, man. I think they're just too good.
It's Saturday night, Nicola.
Yeah.
Just before they had a Souvlaki pack, and they're going to jump on the plane. St George Illawarra Dragons land in Brisbane to come back losers, unfortunately.
Well, that's
as
on
long as-
Saturday. That's on Saturday night.
Yeah.
But on Sunday afternoon, it's 1988,
I wish we could
and
go.
we're going to Belmore Sports
I
Ground
wish
for
we
the
could
Bulldogs
go.
and the Tigers.
What is
Hard to tip against the Dogs in this one at Belmore.
You know what? This is going to be a special occasion. We're back at our spiritual
Yeah.
home ground, coming off a victory. The fans looking for a repeat performance, but Tigers are desperate now.
Tigers are missing Papali'i. They're missing Dane Laurie.
Ooh.
I think John Bateman's back.
Bateman,
Or
he's
not
on the
back. He'll be
bench,
debuting.
He's listed, yeah.
But I can't see anything other than the Bulldogs win.
Staines at fullback.
Yeah.
I think not Tapua. Look, there's a few injuries. I would like to see the Bulldogs win after that performance. I'd like to see them back it
Yeah.
up, even if it's a scrappy win. A win.
A win's a win.
But let's not forget that West Tigers, they're desperate now.
They're
Remember, in the
desperate,
words
yeah.
of the great Jesse the Body Ventura, it's better to be lucky than good.
Yep, absolutely.
Will the
Yeah.
Raiders open their account in Canberra against the Sharks?
No.
No?
Mm.
Go on the Sharks?
You know,
Sharks,
Canberra
yeah.
going to be 0-3?
you know what? Did you say in Canberra?
Yeah.
God, I've got to see the lineup here.
It's going to be 38 degrees too on Saturday.
In Canberra?
In
It's always
Canberra, is
cold.
it? Not really. Might be still warm.
Yeah. Look,
I'm going to go the Sharks.
I'm going to go the Sharks because they ooze of class.
Yeah.
But you know what? When I see young Whitehead, Horan, what's his
Morinara.
Morinara or whatever. When I look
Where-
at that pack, it scares the living daylights out of me. But
I'm going the Sharks.
I'm going Sharks as well.
Yeah, it's in Canberra. I know Canberra's going to be desperate. Ricky's going to have them fired up. Yeah.
I just want to
I'll-
watch his press conference if they lose.
Yeah, I'll go Canberra, mate. I'll go Cronulla, sorry. I'll go the Sharks.
George, you got some tidbits for us?
We've got some tidbits, Nicola. We're following the plight of the world champions, as you know, in England in Super League, and this
St.
week
Helens?
St Helens, and this week they went to a newly promoted club, the Lee Leopards, and you can imagine St Helens arrived in this small town of Lee there. Pandemonias happened, carnival atmosphere, full house. The world champions started like a house on fire, 12-0 up first half, but the promoted Lee Leopards fought back and won 20-12.
Wow.
So St Helens has fallen again, Nicola.
Wow.
I think they've had their moment in the sun, haven't they?
Oh, I don't know, but that's 2 losses in a row. And look, the Lee Leopards have the last the 3 rounds they've played, they've lost and lost with quite large scores. Again, they're expected to go back down to second division, but their owner, a very rich man in England,
They did a Spezia.
did a Spezia. So St Helens has fallen, and I want to welcome another rugby league team into our fraternity, the Geelong Sharks.
Okay.
They just started a rugby league club down there in Geelong, Melbourne. Disgruntled rugby players.
Yeah. Breakaway.
Yep, and believe it or not, they've managed to fill teams from under sixes to under 20s.
Good to see. Storm could have some competition coming up.
Well, they'll be in the Storm catchment area, so they'll be playing. They're an hour away out of Melbourne, but they'll be playing in the Melbourne competition. So welcome on board the Geelong Sharks.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All right, boys. And closing it out, what are we looking forward to this weekend?
What are you looking forward to, George?
I'm looking forward to a continuous high standard and lots of fun rugby league. And you know what? If Bulldogs can win again on Sunday in front of their people at Belmore, we'll just top off the weekend from there.
Yeah. Artie?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing the Dragons again, to be honest. I've never been this excited to see them again. It's been a while. But even if they don't win, I'm not expecting them to win, but just to see
Perform,
yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to see them perform at the same level.
I'm expecting to win, Adi, on Sunday because we're playing the Tigers. But if we're playing any other team, if we gave a good performance, I'd be happy.
That's it.
I'm looking forward to Monday morning.
I'm doing.
Yeah, we're going to be 0-3. I just want to get it done with. Let's get on to next week.
You'll win.
Let's get on to next week.
You'll be.
That's a wrap, guys. Episode 31.
Oh man, I was having too much fun.
Jokes aside, I'm really looking forward to the Roosters South game.
Yeah, no. That's a Friday.
Yes,
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
that's Friday night. I'm going to come home, get a pizza, sit on the lounge, and that's going to be a little doozy.
That's
going to be a doozy.
I'll be at the Big Buzzer's place on Friday night, so we'll be watching it there.
On your buzzer.
Yeah. So yes, thanks guys. Another great episode.
Thank you.
Can't wait for this weekend to kick off tomorrow night, and we'll see you all next week.
Happy Rugby League, everybody.
Enjoy round 3 and happy Rugby
on
League.
the Quick Hands podcast. See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.